Welcome to Land House. I'm Seth. This is the ENGY PAK 500w power station. Let's pull this out of the box and test out its features. Let's check out the contents of the box real quick. We have the power station, a carrying handle, the power brick, and then also a car charging cable. Let's take a tour around this unit real quick, starting from the top. It's got the ENGY PAK logo. The handle seems to be well constructed. It's got these screws down here to hold things together. All right, on the front, once again, ENGY PAK logo. Over here is your LED with the LED button. It's got the DC, right here. This is your car charger output, and it's got a nice stopper that keeps that from getting anything inside. And I actually like the way that makes a little pop, so it's a good connection. All right, down here we've got DC output 12-volt barrel plugs, and so that would be turned on right here by this button. Moving over here, you've got the USB. So there's a Type C, it's a PD 60-watt output or input, and then you've got 4 USB, just the Type A. Over here, you've got your AC output, which is 500 watts, and each of these does have the hole for a ground to go into. Even though the unit doesn't have a ground itself, it can accept those plugs with the ground. And up here is your input, DC 12 volts to 30 volts. And then right here is your display. So let's go ahead and move over to the next side. Right here just has some vent holes for cooling. Over here on the back also has some more ventilation and then some information about this unit here. So this is the model PAK 500. Capacity, it has a 348 amp hour, 14.8 volt at 515 watt hours. And then it's got your DC input, the AC output 500 watts, 120 volts, 60 hertz, pure sine wave. And then over here, it has some more information on those USB and other DC outputs. Other side, got some ventilation. And on the bottom, it has some rubber feet. Now this unit does come with something unique. It has a carrying case, which is somewhat insulated. It's got some rubber feet on the bottom. And this window right here will open up so you can access the front of the unit. And then it's got a zipper around here so you can close this up. So just to show you what that looks like, you can set the whole power station down in here, and then the handle up top kind of presses into like that. It's interesting. I've never seen one of these power stations with a carrying case like this, and that's where your shoulder strap right here can be attached, just like that. So we'll try that out here in just a bit, but let's go over the functions of the power station itself. And it's like I said, this right here lets you access different things. So we're going to be pulling this out of the carrying case again for the testing of the product. So any button you push is going to turn on the display. Let's go ahead and push the LED once, and that's going to turn it on here. So this unit was shipped at 69% and currently shows that no watts are being used. If I push this once, the light's going to come on. And if you look right here, it'll run that for 317 hours at 1 watt. Push it again for the next brightness setting. It'll run that for 158 hours at 2 watts. Next press is your SOS feature, and then off. So that's the light here. We'll see how bright that is in the dark in just a moment. If I push the DC right here, it's going to turn on the DC icon, and that's going to activate those right there. We'll test out that as well. And then right here, this turns on all of your USB, and it does say USB right here on the display. Turn that off. And then lastly over here, the AC, it'll probably kick the fan on for a second. Little fan icon. And then if this goes above 40 Celsius in the temperature, it will kick that fan on. So it is consuming power with the AC turned on, even though it's not showing any watts being consumed. So to save power on this unit, just turn that off. Now it will auto off in about a minute if you just let it sit. For the first test, I've got my kids' tablets, which they seem to drain quicker than you would think. So let's go ahead and turn on USB right over here. Okay, good connection on that one. I always like whenever the USB doesn't just fall right out, so that's a good sign. Let's plug this up, and we've got 2 watts, 4 watts, so that is, and the tablet is charging. I don't know if you can see that or not. And then let's go ahead and plug up the next one. Okay, both tablets are charging. It's using 19 watts currently, and it'll run that for 16 hours. This unit is a 500 watt AC. Let's try out this 200 watt light real quick. I'm going to plug this up. Comes on immediately. So one nice thing, there is no flicker, which means this pure sine wave is functioning properly. I always like to see that it has no flicker so that it's advertised correctly. It'll run this for 1 hour at 245 watts. I'm going to move that over to the side, and let's also try out the DC right over here. So we'll just basically have everything running at the same time. So I'm going to plug up a little tire inflator real quick. Push this DC on. Okay, there we go. Display is on now. Let's see if it'll run all of this at the same time. Alright, well there we go. It is able to run all of the outputs at the same time. We've now seen that the functions of the power station are working correctly. Let's go ahead and do some charging to see how that works. So I've got the power brick. I'm going to plug this up right here. I'm seeing the display right here blink, and it's showing 61% charged. So we'll give that a couple of minutes and see what that goes up to. It's been about 5 or 6 minutes, and we've gone from 61 to 63%. So this power brick is charging. Now it's got a strange hum to it. So I'm not exactly sure what's going on there, but let's go ahead and unplug. So we know that's working. Now let's go ahead and put this unit back into its carrying case, and let's walk up to a tool that will use more than 500 watts so we can see what's going to happen if you overload this little unit. Zip it up. Let's go ahead and put on the carrying strap. The buckle on this strap does not fit very well into the little pad piece, so that's kind of an irritant. Okay, I pulled it off of the one side, and I'm going to try putting it on the other, so that way we can use this in a more comfortable position. Yeah, I guess if you're going to be going a long distance, this would be better than carrying it by the handle the whole time, but definitely still awkward to have this big box right here. Okay, let's step up here to my other shop and find a tool that will put more watts into this thing than 500, and we should see that error trigger. I've got a saw here that often kicks on with about 700 watts, so let's test out to see if this is going to allow it to turn on. So let's turn the AC on, which is good. Whoops, turn off the USB. So if I plug this up here, let's see if it's going to throw an error. So I saw about 330 or so watts, so that did not throw an error. So it'll at least run this. Now whenever this saw digs into some wood, it oftentimes will hit 700 watts. But I'm going to turn on an orbital sander and then turn on the saw, and that should trigger everything. Let's go ahead and plug both of these back up. I've got 240. So turning this on should trigger the safety. Well, that's impressive. I saw I think it was 511 on there, so it definitely is able to handle both of those tools. All right, the combination of angle grinder and sander should trip this over into the overload mode. There's about 390 watts. Well, that's ridiculous. It was pulling somewhere around 570 watts. So for a 500 watt system, I feel like that's pretty impressive. All right, I know something that will definitely trigger this. Okay, let's see if the ENGY PAK can run my small air conditioner here out in the shop. It runs the fan at 52 watts. Let's see about whenever we turn on the actual cooling unit. There we go. Now we've got an error. So it tried to pull too much wattage out of this unit. All right, so hopefully you can see that light blinking right up there. It's red, so it's hard to see on that display. All right, so now let's go ahead and turn off the AC. Oh, now you can see it. There you go. All right. Okay, I pushed it twice and it looks like it's reset. Let's try some utility here and see if it will start back up. All right, there you have it. You do not have to turn the unit off. All you have to do is just push the AC button again to let it reset, and then the AC side will work again. The last thing I want to demonstrate is the LED. So let's go ahead and kick that on. Let's go ahead and put it on the full bright, and then just move it over here. And you can see that is nice and bright over here in this corner. So definitely works well. And that's the ENGY PAK 500 watt power station. So I have a few thoughts on this unit. First of all, the AC was pretty impressive at 568, 70 watts, somewhere around there. Now that might trigger the fan to turn on faster and to have the unit shut off from overheating if you're just maxing it out all the time. But it was really impressive to see this thing reach higher than it was rated for. The bag itself that this comes in, I'm not sure how practical that is. Definitely makes it easier to carry having this strap, but then whenever you go to use it, you have to keep this front flap open anyway, so I'm not sure how practical that is. One thing I also liked is that you can use all of the outputs at the same time. So we saw it had the AC, 2 USB, and that car output all at the same time. So that is a really nice feature as well. It seemed to perform well. The circuit overload worked out with that air conditioner, no problem. So definitely nice to know that that feature is working. I never ran it long enough to have the cooling fan stay on, but that feature seemed to work whenever the unit turned on. If you want to check out the ENGY PAK 500 watt power station, I have a link in the description down below so you can learn some more about this unit. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Seth with Land House, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.